Broadcasting from Meredith Hall Studios, you're listening to Covering the Field Sports Show, featuring sports analysts Big Rich Martin, Rockin, Ronnie McKinnon, Gator Gates. And now here's your host, Joe the Answer Ellison.
Welcome to the show, everybody. My guests are football and baseball experts, Big Richard Martin and Rockin Ronnie McKinnon. How are you doing today, guys?
Doing great, Joe. Big Rich, how you doing?
Doing great. Sorry that our Gator Gates couldn't make it again today. Speedy recovery there, Gator.
Yes, sir.
We need your eyes really on point to go for the end of this NASCAR season. So hopefully we get up back with his predictions.
All right, Big Rich, let's start in the National Football League with a quick update on troubled Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson.
Wow, can you believe what the commissioner, Roger Goodell, came out and said?
What did he say?
Well, he said he was a predator and it was egregious what he did, and he has predatory behavior, something that formerly I was an employee at the penitentiary that we would call those inmates. So if the commissioner is calling that to you, it is definitely not a compliment.
No, absolutely not. And he did get a 6-game suspension from disciplinary officer Sue L. Robinson and no fine for this egregious sexual behavior. But the league appealed.
Yeah, Roger Goodell said, hold your wild horses.
Yeah.
We need to get another person on an appeal process. And I think, he's wanting a year suspension minimum, and I think he's going to go get it from he's going to have an attorney from New Jersey, I believe, to look over this.
This is the first black New Jersey Attorney General ever. Peter C. Harvey is going to preside over the hearing. When we were predicting what was going to happen, we wanted him to get like a 1-year suspension and fine. I predicted like 8 games. Appears now that fine and also undergoing some treatment is going to be in order.
Yeah, not the treatment you get at a massage parlor, different type of treatment.
Some anger management and what's the other one?
Predatory behavior.
Yeah,
right.
So, but Goodell could have ruled on the appeal himself. So
I'm surprised he didn't, because he usually doesn't, hesitate to throw his weight around. But I think he wants to get this right, and I think that the NFL's doing a good job on this, because it is egregious behavior.
Well, this guy Harvey, I'm sure, is going to do exactly what Goodell wants. That's why he's picking him, I'm thinking. But we shall see.
It's been a soap opera, and I'm continuing to think it's going to end up this way. A soap opera, ups and downs.
Well, it's going to be interesting when Watson plays in the first preseason game. That's going to add some more drama to this soap opera, if that actually does happen. So, Big Rich, has there been any important injury news from training camps within this last week?
Well, the biggest one is Joe Burrow, AFC champion quarterback, had an appendectomy. And he's going to be out for 2 weeks. So 2 weeks no practice, 2 weeks not being able to play. It definitely should affect him with only 3 preseason games. It's definitely going to affect his effectiveness on the playing field in week 1.
Well, he had his appendix removed July 27th, so he should be, if it was only going to be a couple of weeks, should have been back by now.
Yeah, but his father said that it was more than an average type of appendix, and they didn't go into detail, but it's going to be a little bit longer, I think.
All right. Well, we'll look into that, and that is big news. How is the battle between Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield progressing for the Carolina starting quarterback job?
A lot of good reports of Baker Mayfield is winning the battle out there. The coaches are very pleased with him. I think he's got DJ Moore out there. I think that he has some upsides. He has something to prove, and I think Baker Mayfield has been a winner throughout his college career, his high school career, and I don't see it bringing the Cleveland Browns to their first playoff win. And I think he's going to continue here. He's going to be up for the challenge and show Cleveland that they made a mistake.
Well, we predicted that Mayfield was going to win the job the second he got traded there. And
right.
Certainly no surprise to us.
Well, Sam Darnold's an excellent quarterback, but he hasn't, starting off with the Jets, I think definitely harmed him and his growth. And so I think they have 2 good quarterbacks, and it's better than not having any good quarterbacks. So it's kind of what they had last year. And Mekhi Becton, the left tackle for the Jets, he also injured his right knee again. And in 2020, he was the 11th pick of the draft in the first round, and he's only played 15 games for the Jets, and he looks like he's out again for the whole season. So that's tough for the Jets. They've had some down times, and I don't see him getting any better.
Right. Any other quick news before we get to last week's Hall of Fame game?
Well, I don't think we can stop from that exciting Hall of Fame game. I think we need to get into that, Joe. I mean, how did your prediction go in that?
Well, yeah, we did have an actual football game last week, albeit an exhibition, Canton, Ohio. Of course, that weather delay had me a little worried at first. Are we actually going to play this game?
Right.
But my prediction did not do well, but I will get into it. I think what scared most people right at the bat was Raiders running back Josh Jacobs. Played 11 snaps with 7 touches for 44 yards, and the Raiders won 27-11.
No other starter was even suited up, and it's surprising to see him get 11 snaps. And he actually played well, but I mean, he was playing as the second string for Jacksonville. But he actually looked good, and I think that shows you that Zaire White's going to be a big part of the Raiders' offense because he looked good also.
I was super surprised to see him play. Rumors came out that maybe they were auditioning him. Maybe they were going to start trading him to just show him. But
they didn't pick up his 5th year of his rookie contract, so they're definitely planning on parting ways from him. And Josh McDaniel coming from the New England tree of coaching, you don't spend a lot of money on running backs.
Right. So I did bet Jaguars and under, which was no good. But since Jacksonville had 0 points at the half, I wagered on the Jags at halftime and won, and I ended up coming out even. But that is one of my theories, even in preseason. Anytime an NFL team has 0 at halftime, bet on that team.
Right. I think we did the same thing with when it was the Celtics and Warriors. When the Warriors had such a low, we bet them in the second half. So you're the king of hedging the bet there, Joe, and good job.
Yes. But how often does a team finish with 0 points in football? NFL football.
Right. Well, if anybody's going to do it, Jacksonville, because last year they were horrible. So
they could be. But it's funny, like about 75-80% of the time, the bet seems to hit, regardless of how bad the team is. So Rich, every team now plays a preseason game this week. Do you have any predictions for week 1 on those preseason point spreads?
Joe, you constantly get me on these preseason wagering, and Joe, these are just these are practice games. I mean, how do you bet these games? But I know you enjoy to bet them, and I know you got issues. And so let's hear your picks, buddy.
Well, little do people know, maybe they do know, Baltimore has won an NFL record 20 consecutive preseason games.
Oh, that's right. Tomorrow they're playing.
Yeah. And they are 17-2-1 against the spread in those games.
So those meaningless games, they are awesome.
Well, they appear to be very meaningful to Baltimore head coach John Harbaugh.
And they're meaningful if you have your ticket on them, like you're gonna.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're gonna stay with the streak there, Joe. Right?
I'm not betting against that.
Okay.
Bill Belichick, I'm sure he'll have New England prepared. And I'd like to think, having a game already under their belts, Las Vegas and Jacksonville have an advantage. So these are my bets. Tomorrow I'm taking Baltimore minus the 3.5 or on the money line against Tennessee. New England is getting 2 points or even on the money line and over 34 points against the New York Giants. I don't know why they're getting 2. Friday, I like Jacksonville minus the 1.5 against Cleveland, and Sunday I'm trying Las Vegas minus 3.5 against Minnesota. The most important game to watch, I'm thinking, is Seattle at Pittsburgh, though. Geno Smith, Drew Lock, battling for the quarterback job, Seattle.
Right.
You got Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and Kenny Pickett vying for the starting slot in Pittsburgh.
Just like we did last year in Denver, we picked Denver a lot of the preseason games. So if you have a quarterback, first-string quarterbacks battling out, it's better than the second-string quarterback that you're laying up on the other team. So that's always good advantages to take those if you're going to bet the preseason game. Take when the quarterbacks are trying to win their position so the game is more meaningful for them and for their season.
Right. That's a really good angle.
Yep.
No doubt.
Sounds right.
If there is a quarterback battle, bet on those teams. Right. Unfortunately, in this game, there appears to be 2 quarterback battles, although it seems Geno Smith has a lead in Seattle,
right,
and Mitch Trubisky, basically, it's his job to lose in Pittsburgh, it looks like.
And he's going against Rudolph and also Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I don't see Seattle going out and getting another quarterback like they said they were going to.
I think them, Atlanta, are definitely going for the big lottery prize this year with all the great quarterbacks coming out of college this year.
Right. So, Big Rich, during past weeks, we've listed our top 10 NFL quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers. Now let's look at the tight ends. Who is on your list?
Well, first of all, let's do a shout out to the best tight end that we've ever seen in our lifetime. How about the Gronk, right?
Oh, yes.
Gronkowski, best tight end. So I'll give you guys a little sink or swim. All right, you ready there, Rockin'?
Sure.
Okay. Gronkowski went to what college? He went to Arizona University. He graduated with a 3.75 grade point average. Sink or swim.
Oh, God. My guess is he didn't even graduate.
I would say
that he probably quit after about 3 years and never got his degree.
I wouldn't see him getting 3.75 if he was there. But that's what I say.
So you guys are both thinking. You guys are both correct. He came out his junior year. He played 2 seasons. He was hurt his junior year and came out. His grade point average in high school at Woodland, Pennsylvania was 3.75 in high school.
Really?
So he did have that. So, I mean, try to get you on that one. Okay, so I'll give you the next one. Okay, the next one, sink or swim. Gronk is the only tight end to lead the NFL in a season touchdowns.
Oh, I would say probably not. I'd say there's probably been a tight end. I'm going to guess. I'll just take a wild guess and say like Kellen Winslow maybe actually led the league in touchdown catches one year.
Wait, I'm thinking of that guy, New England guy. I don't think. I would say no. Somebody else is probably done that.
Gronk is the only one.
Is he?
17 touchdowns. He's the only one. He actually had one running touchdown. 18 that year. He ran one of 17 in. So he did have it, and I think it was 2017. He did. He's the only one too. Congratulations, Gronk, on a great year. He also had 32 100-yard games, and that also leads as an NFL record. So getting into the great tight ends, let's talk about our top-tier tight ends that we have this year for fantasy football.
Yes.
My number 1 pick, Mark Andrews from the Baltimore Ravens. How would you take Mark Andrews over Travis Kelce in your fantasy? How could you say that, Joe? Because let's just look at last year's numbers. He had 1,361 yards receiving compared to Travis Kelce's 1,100 yards, and they both had 9 touchdowns. So they're both top-tier tight ends. I don't think I've seen any draft where Mark Andrews went before Travis Kelce in my mock drafts this year. But I like Mark Andrews. I say he comes out again. My number 1, Mark Andrews. Number 2, Travis Kelce, and that's our tier 1 tight ends.
Yeah, well, I had to pick Kelce. Of course, he did get hurt last year and missed a couple games.
He did.
I believe Andrews might have been hurt also for like one. If I remember right. But
he's also doing without a lot of Lamar Jackson was out a lot of the year. He didn't have his top quarterback in there. I think he continues to roll. You can't go wrong with any one of these guys if you're going to get him in your number 1. Right now, Kelsey's probably going around anywhere between 9 and 14 on the first round picks on the mock drafts. So if you've got a later pick on your fantasy football, it's always good to have a tight end because between the Tier 1 and Tier 4, it's humongous amount of point disparity. So if you don't get a top 5 tight end, you're just going to be with the rest of the league on the waiver wire and just hoping week to week because there's no consistency. Really, the only consistency is probably in the top 5.
Okay, and who do you have number 3 then?
Darren Waller.
Yeah.
I know that Darren Waller had a pretty much down season last year with only 665 yards, but he only played in 11 games. The year before, he had 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns, which puts him into a top tier 1 type. I think now with Devontae Adams going to the Las Vegas Raiders, I think he opens him up to more single coverage. If you ever win against Waller and you watch those points go down when you're going against him in fantasy football, and he just always seems to be open, he's always catching the ball, and he usually will sink you if that's the guy you're going against. Right. So my number 3 is Darren Waller.
Okay. I actually have those top 3. I put Travis Kelce number 1, of course, as everyone else. I put Darren Waller number 2, just because of the potential of what the Raiders are going to do this year. And he's going to get the ball a little more, I'm thinking.
Right.
And he won't be hurt. At least, hopefully, for the beginning of the season. Right. And I had Andrews number 3, so we did have our same top 3,
right,
only in different order.
So brings us to number 4. I'm going to go George Kittle, San Francisco. He did have a down year last year. but he was hurt, and he played hurt. He played injured. He seems like he has a heavy workload, and hopefully that he will have a better. You can probably pick him up 5 or 6 tight end in your drafts. Great guy to have. He's definitely a tier 2 type of tight end, and when he's healthy, most people have Kyle Pitts above him. I have him 5. Kyle Pitts only had 1 touchdown last year, so and he has Marcus Mariota as his quarterback this year, so I think that could hurt him. He did have 1,000 yards catching though last year, but only 1 touchdown.
Right, I'm total agreement on Kittle at number 4. The ability to play hurt. He always wants to be on the field, even when he's not supposed to be. I
great
like that.
Blocker, great teammate.
Number 5, maybe I'm a little biased. I had to put Dalton Schultz there. And I think he's going to be getting the ball a lot more. We got some problems with wide receivers in Dallas right now.
Right.
And Schultz is,
I actually have him. I have him 6 also. He did have 8 touchdowns. He actually had 9. He had 1 taken away from him because I remember I had him on my fantasy team, and they went through the view from the very top, and I thought he was still in on that touchdown, and then Dak Prescott just pushed it in after that. But yeah, I think he had 9. I think he got that. It was a touchdown. It was overruled. Couldn't believe it. But anyway, you could have 9, but still 800 yards receiving is awesome. Definitely tier 3, 4 type of tight end. It goes to the other Dallas, but not the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Goedert from Philadelphia. He had 830 yards receiving last year. Jalen Hurts definitely needs to use his tight end, so he only had 4 touchdowns though. That's the pullback from that.
Okay, that's as far as you went.
That's 7. Now we're gonna go to Where are you at with Dallas Goedert?
Well, I had Pitts at number 6, so you had him at 5. I had Goddard at number 9. I'm putting Dawson Knox because of Josh Allen ahead of him,
right?
And T.J. Hawkinson, just on talent alone,
right?
I have him at number 8, but he's got quarterback issues, and might not have as good a season.
Right. I mean, he has Goff as his quarterback, but it's his second year with him. He only had 583 yards receiving last year, so not productive. That with only 4 touchdowns. Hit or miss when you get to this type of tier. They're going to have a good game, have a bad game. And if you're going against a Kelsey or you're going against an Andrews, you're probably dropping. You're going to be 15, 20 points behind if you're playing fantasy football just in your tight end position alone. So if you get down that far, it's a crapshoot. But I do have T.J. Hawkinson 8. I have I'm going to go Mike Kaczynski from the Miami Dolphins. I think he's going to get all kinds of great single coverage now that he has Waddle and Hill there. I think that they put the franchise tag on him, and I think that he's came up last year. If you're down that low, he's a good one to have. And I have Dawson Knox like you. He had only 587 yards receiving last year, but he also had 9 touchdowns. So he does get the ball. He's a red zone target for Josh Allen. And then I'm going to put him in there with Hunter Henry from the New England Patriots. I think he's a sleeper this year. If you're doing any type of the money draft, when you're drafting for when you have to buy your players for salary type drafts, you can get him at 0. You could probably pick up Hunter Henry at any time you want to, probably be on the waiver wire. You can pick him up and handcuff him with one of these other tight ends and a lower tier tight end, and he can give you good value when you play matchups alone.
Yeah, I had to put Robert Tonyan on there, number 10, just because the receiver situation in Green Bay. And what I noticed about all these tight ends, I think they all got hurt last year. Every single one of them.
Well, they're inside the trenches. They're blocking inside the trenches, and there's a lot of leg and knee injuries. And you're banging with the big boys down there. You're usually against the top defensive rusher, edge rusher. So they definitely get banged up more than a wide receiver. You go against a 180-pound cornerback every play, like a wide receiver go against. So another one to look at. I want to look at Tyson Hill from New Orleans. He is specifically a tight end this year. He's not playing quarterback. So him and Adam Tottenham are going to be battling it out for tight end, and you can sneak him in also if you pick up Tyson Hill, because he will be doing some wildcat. I'm sure some wildcat can get you some easy rushing touchdowns if you're going to play fantasy football. And Pittsburgh Steeler Pat Freiermuth, he's been climbing up all the draft boards. He had 7 touchdowns and 500 yards in his rookie season out of Penn State. having the quarterback situation that we do in Pittsburgh right now, I think they will heavily rely on their tight end. So he is also another good sleeper to pick.
Now who's QBing for New Orleans then?
Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston,
Oh, okay.
and he's coming off an injury, but he's also having a great camp. They're saying
I was a
he's
big
good.
Drew Brees fan. I still miss him. So.
Yeah, I think everybody in New Orleans still misses Drew Brees, for sure.
A lot of people think New Orleans is going to be really good this year, and I just have serious concerns about quarterback and head coach.
Right.
So I'm not on that bandwagon there.
Okay.
So, all right. That's a good list. We're pretty much in total agreement on that. But we have to move on now to baseball. Ronnie, what were the big stories in the major leagues last week? It seems like Houston's Justin Verlander makes their show every single week. What have you got for us?
It's amazing pitcher, right? 39 years old. We talked about that before. He just cashed in on a $25 million option for 2023 because he reached 130 innings pitched already. And in the last game, he won 6-0 win over Cleveland. He's 15-3 with a 1.73 ERA. And he's amazing. He always has been. And, he missed all of last year with Tommy John surgery and came back, and he's just been unreal. So
Yeah, he hasn't lost a game since June 18th.
that's correct.
So he's been a pretty solid wager, for sure. How about newly traded Trey Mancini?
Yeah, Trey Mancini. He's now on Houston. He was on Baltimore his whole career, and they got rid of him. Actually, Baltimore's still doing well, but I was kind of surprised, because Baltimore has a shot at as a wild card and stuff.
They're 4 games above 500. I mean,
exactly.
Why would you...
And Trey Mancini's always been a steady player there. He survived colon cancer and has come back. And anyway, his first 3 at bats for his new team, the Houston Astros, were home runs. 1 at home, 2 on the road. All right. 5 RBIs in the one game because he hit a grand slam. And what's interesting about that is he played 701 games for the Orioles and never hit a grand slam. So that's pretty
his
cool.
4th at bat was a walk, obviously. If he hit 3 straight home runs, I think the next time we give him a pass over.
Yeah, right. Base. Yeah, and the thing is that it he's not playing like he's been there like since last week, but he got traded for a pair of right-handed pitchers, minor league pitchers, one to Tampa Bay and one to Houston. So, or one from they got a great deal with Trey Mancini, no doubt, right?
You would think. That's not a record though, I guess. 3 home runs in your first 3 at bats with a new team. Otherwise, they would have mentioned that.
Right. Yeah, I didn't see anything about that. So. It was just, pretty neat to do and pretty cool. And also that he never hit a grand slam in 701 games with the Orioles. Yeah,
that's hard to believe.
That is
because there's nobody on base ever. I mean, in Baltimore, you got to have somebody on base.
He was a steady, their biggest, longest player there in Baltimore and played all the time. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, I wouldn't have thought that. But
how about Chicago White Sox starting pitcher Dylan Cease?
Yeah, Dylan Cease. He's a right-handed starting pitcher for the White Sox. He 13th straight start where he allowed 1 earned run or less in a 2-1 victory over Texas in Arlington, Texas there. He pitched 6 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, but he's 12-4 with a 1.98 ERA and actually accomplished that feat, first, which is called a non-opener as a pitcher. I have to detail exactly what that means, but he's, since ERA became an official stat in 1913, he's also only given up 5 earned runs in the last 76 innings pitched. So, pretty amazing.
You could say his opponents have ceased to score.
There you go. That's right. You can say that, Joe, and just did, right?
You might not want to, but
right,
but you could say that.
Cool.
What has the New York Mets' Max Scherzer been doing?
Another great pitcher for the Mets, starting pitcher, right-hand pitcher. He's 38 years old. He just pitched a 7-inning game, no runs, 4 hits, no walks, 11 strikeouts. That was the second game of a doubleheader against Atlanta. 108 pitches, so there it is again, right? Older guy, right? Actually, pitching like Justin Verlander. 110 to 20 pitches sometimes, and no problems, right? He's actually 8-2 with a 1.98 ERA. But what happened is that he now the most 10 plus strikeouts in a game in MLB history. The leader, of course, Nolan Ryan, which probably nobody will ever catch that, at 215. Randy Johnson had 212. Roger Clemens 110. And now Scherzer has 109. He just passed Pedro Martinez with 108 of 10 plus strikeout games.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing.
Pretty big drop off from second to third.
Exactly, no doubt. Well, yeah, Nolan Ryan, Randy Johnson. Wow, watch them play a lot, and I was a big fan of Roger Clemens. Actually, I know there's been steroid thing there, but always liked him.
It's definitely there.
Always liked him. I thought he was great, and so now Scherzer's just 1 away from tying him and 2 away from passing him into third, and I don't think the top 2 guys will ever be caught. So
right.
No.
Well, DeGrom, maybe. DeGrom's young enough, maybe.
Yeah, but he's come back now and pitched good in his first game, which I was just going to get to. He's, I don't know, the injury thing with that guy too, kind of. So, we'll see. Yeah, you got to have longevity to do that.
Okay.
So.
Well, you wanted to first talk about the newly traded Juan Soto?
Well, only because, San Diego right fielder. He has now had the most walks before turning 24 years old. 469, that was Sunday, and he passed the greatest hitter of all time, in my opinion, Ted Williams, who had 468, and then Mel Ott had 466, and that goes way back. But he does get a lot of walks, and now he set a record for before age 24.
So those walks make up for his low batting average.
Yeah, he's right around 250, and the big trade last week, San Diego actually is 2-4 since that trade. They won last night against the Giants. The Dodgers swept them at Dodger Stadium, which I wasn't even sure that was going to happen. But they outscored him 20-4 in those 3 games.
Yeah, only 4 runs, and then
and
the
3
Giants,
were unearned.
No. Okay.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
And the Giants beat them 1-0 like the next day.
Exactly. And then San Diego, they won last night. And but that happens. We'll see as it goes on. But San Diego's now kind of like the third spot as the wild card. And of course, again, there's still a ways to go. We'll see what happens there.
Well, let's get to Max Scherzer's teammate Jacob deGrom. Sunday, I guess he pitched.
Jacob deGrom, yes. He just came back, and he made strikeout history in his return. He only pitched 5 2/3, 1 hit, 5 2/3 innings, 1 hit, 2 runs, 1 walk, but 12 strikeouts. He now has the most strikeouts by a pitcher through 200 career appearances. He passed Yu Darvish, who now pitches for the San Diego Padres, and he's now got 1,523. He actually, just came back from that long stint there, and on being on the disabled list, and he threw over 100 miles per hour, and one pitch was a slider at 96 miles per hour. So,
wow,
yeah. I mean, think about that. A slider at 96. So, anyway, he's looking good in his first outing back, and we'll see what happens.
All right. What is our weekly Aaron Judge update?
Well, I talk about him every week. The only thing I was going to bring up is he hit number 44, and that's where he's at right now. And I was talking to you about that. I was going to bring that up later about that game last night. 1-0, 13 innings. Seattle beat the Yankees, and that's pretty amazing, right? 1-0 in 13 innings, especially when you start a guy on second base.
Yeah, for 3 of those innings.
Started in the 10th inning.
I guess no one's butting anybody over in the New York Yankee pinstripes.
Right? No sacks, no nothing. Yeah, I don't know, but that was. I was just going to bring that up in a little bit about that game last night, and of course Aaron Judge playing for the Yankees, and they didn't score any runs, but.
There is a proposition bet of an over and under of 62 home runs on Aaron Judge,
right?
Which would break Roger Maris is, in my opinion, the real home run record of
61 in 1961, actually.
Yes.
And Babe Ruth had 60 that year or the year before in 154 games. When they used to play 154, then they went to 162. So there's a little asterisk thing there.
There is an asterisk there.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with performance-enhancing drugs.
That's the American League record still. Of course, the National League, the Bonds and Sosa and McGuire, and all that. But they've all been,
You talk about Aaron Judge. I mean, the guy bet on himself completely this year. He gave up that big contract and said his final year of the contract with the Yankees. And what does he do? He blasts 44 home runs, and we're just now getting into August.
He turned down the offer. Then they made one. As the season was already in progression, and now that was one of the things I was going to bring up too about possible free agents next year. Aaron Judge.
Well, he'll get the most.
He could be going somewhere though. Who knows? Jacob DeGrom, another one that actually can opt out and be a free agent. And that was some other things I was going to bring up later. Ohtani still got one more year on his contract, but there was talk about trading him before. Right. I don't think I hope they keep him and Trout. Of course, Trout's been injured too. And then Alexander Bogaerts can opt out from the Red Sox. And actually, Manny Machado, which I don't think will happen, he can opt out in 2023, but I don't see that happening. I think they're going to be pretty competitive for years to come, even before that trade. But now we're getting Soto and Josh Bell.
Tatis coming back in a couple weeks,
and Tatis Jr. is coming back, and we'll see what happens.
Any prediction? Do you think Judge gets to 62?
I'm hoping he does, even though I really liked Roger Maris, and it was, there was a great movie about that too. Yeah. And but I like Aaron Judge. He's a great player, and
we're in the prediction business here.
Nothing about performance-enhancing drugs and all that stuff. And
so Ronnie's rocking his prediction of over 62. I think that's what I heard.
It's a sink or swim.
I think he's going to do it.
I'm going to swim with you. I think he's going to do it too.
Okay, awesome. So we're all going to swim. I think he gets there too, and more for hope than anything else. But he's on pace for more than 62 at this exact moment. So I got to go with that.
And of course, we have to stay away from injuries. Let's knock on wood.
Sure.
Is that
absolutely.
That's probably not really wood.
It's close. It's close enough.
But we hope.
Yes.
He'll get there.
Has there been any recent injury news in Major League Baseball?
Injury news. I don't. Injury news.
Chris Sale.
That's like
every year.
The guy that gets hurt like all the time? No, yeah. And we do. I did want to talk about that. But I don't get it, man. This guy, he's on a 5-year contract with Boston. He used to be Chicago White Sox. He was 7 years with them. He's actually got 114 wins and 75 losses and a career 3.03 ERA. I mean, when he's healthy and good, he's just a great pitcher. But he was on the 15-day injured list with a fractured left pinky finger.
Yeah, the ball got hit right
on a comebacker, right?
Yep.
And he is a left-hander. And that was versus the Yankees, and that was back on July 17th. He actually had surgery there. Then his second start back, he missed after missing 3 months with a stress fracture in the right rib cage. Now, he will now miss the rest of the season with a right wrist fracture from riding a bicycle.
Yeah. He was, I guess he was playing catch, like Boston College, and then he was riding his bike down a hill and apparently wrecked and broke his wrist.
Yeah, it just...
What in the world are you riding a bike with a broken pinky anyway?
It just amazes me, though.
Could hit the brakes or
what always amazes me is how these guys, just supposed to be great athletes and specimens, and they have all the training and all the doctors and all the everything they could possibly, and they're always getting hurt and break. I mean, I don't know. I played baseball all my life and didn't get paid for it, but we were always, getting banged up, beat up, in games and 6, tournament games on the weekend, trying to win the tournament and all that stuff. And these guys, I don't get it.
Well, having all that stuff doesn't necessarily make you the smartest person in the world either.
That's right.
You know, you could do some stupid things.
Well, riding a bike isn't stupid. I mean, you know, what the hell? I don't know. I don't get it.
It is when you wreck, though.
Well, yeah, and which, you know, I did it a lot, and I never broke anything. So, I mean, you know.
There's got to be a little more to that story, maybe.
You think? Yeah, really?
I don't know.
Right.
Maybe a couple beers.
Was he tipping? No, yeah. Was he tipping a few? Who knows? I don't know. Anyway,
no idea.
We don't want to
Look like
speculate that.
Jack Ritter on, you know, Three's Company, where he falls off the bike or something, and it's out there, maybe a cute girl walk by, I don't know.
Yeah. He was great. I still miss him. You know, John Ritter, he was awesome.
So
he was awesome.
Last night, did we have some news? Shohei Ohtani, I mean, he's a weekly member of our show.
And rightly so, right? Yeah. Pitcher, designated hitter, last night beat Oakland 5-1. And you can say, well, that's not that hard. No, they just put some wins together against some good teams here in the last
surprisingly well.
He's now 10-7, 2.68 ERA. He pitched 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, no runs, walked 3, struck out 5, but he went 2 for 3 at the plate. Hit his 25th home run, scored 2 runs, RBI, and a walk. I mean, you know, both sides of the ball. This guy, you know, continues to do this. He now is the only other one, him and Babe Ruth, have hit 10 home runs and won 10 games as a pitcher.
Okay.
That's their little club that he's in.
2 in there.
That he's in now. He also has a total of 118 home runs. He just passed Ichiro, who I loved, Ichiro. He just passed him as a Japanese player in home runs. But he's still behind. You'll remember Hideki Matsui.
Sure.
He used to be on the Yankees. He has 175 as a Japanese-born player. And so Ohtani's now second there at 118, just passing Ichiro.
So if the season ended today, Aaron Judge or Ohtani, who's the MVP?
Well, you got to go Aaron Judge with all those home runs.
Yeah, I think people would go Ohtani because he's also a great pitcher. Not just a good pitcher, he's a great pitcher. I mean, you know, he really is. And that'd be tough. That'd be tough.
Judge is just too big of a story.
Well, he is, you know, and he's hitting right at 300 too. I mean, average-wise, and he plays every game, 4 or 5 at-bats, and the home run thing and RBIs. Yeah, I mean, I would say him. I only think of Ohtani because how unique that he is to be a pitcher and be a really good one and be a good hitter also. Doesn't have that average. You know, he's around, I think, 250 average, Ohtani, but he's hit 25 home runs. But yeah, you're probably right. It would be Judge. It would be tough.
Last I checked, Judge was like a minus 200 on the MVP race, so he's actually a pretty decent favorite at the moment.
I totally would agree with that. I bring up Ohtani just because of what he can do on both sides of the ball. So,
well, Ronnie, we should look at the standings. You know, what teams are hot and cold, and let's start in the American League. I know you want to get to probably something else, but
that's fine. Yeah, I have other stuff.
I got you shuffling.
This other stuff, I came up with more than I thought, so we can talk about that. That'll be valid next week. So we'll just get to the standings.
Okay, let's do that.
Right on. Okay. American League, the Yankees been losing a lot lately. They're still 71-40, and you know they pretty much got that division. But all the other 4 teams are into the wild card still at this point. Toronto, Tampa Bay, Baltimore, and Boston. Toronto and Tampa Bay have the wild card. Baltimore's about a half game behind that, and then we have Seattle also as a wild card. They're about half a game ahead in that wild card race. So, you know, still a long ways to go there. And Central, Minnesota, Cleveland, they're now tied 57-52, leading that division, only 5 games above 500. Chicago White Sox, 56-54, a game and a half back, 2.5 back of the wild card. Minnesota and Cleveland, again, they're tied, or and obviously a wild card possibility, but you know, some pretty dismal records there. We'll go to Houston in the West, 71-40. Seattle 60-52. They're 11.5 back, but they're in good shape for a wild card at this point. And then we don't really need to go into the Texas Oakland thing.
Also rants.
Right. We'll go to the National League in the East, the Mets. It's pretty amazing, actually. They've won 5 in a row, 72-39. And they've been doing great all year before they got Scherzer and DeGrom back. So you would think, wow, yeah, what's going to happen now, right? We'll see. Atlanta, the Mets, I think, just swept them in a series, too. Atlanta, 65-46. They're now 7 back. They were really getting close, and but they're in good shape in the wild card area. Philadelphia has been playing better, 6 in a row, 61-48. They're 10 back, but in a wild card position, and then we have Miami and Washington down at the bottom. In the Central, St. Louis has taken over first place. They are 60-49. Milwaukee, 59-50, only a game back. Also a wild card possibility there. And then the rest of that division, the Cubs, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh.
St. Louis appears to have the easier schedule, too.
And
it seems to be the favorite to win that division.
I'm kind of, and I kind of thought that a while back. Milwaukee, I don't know. And, of course, then they got rid of their save guy that's been there forever, Josh Hader, to the Padres, which that one didn't make sense to me because the Padre guy that they switched with, he had 28 saves, Hader 29, and they both got about a 4.5 ERA, just because they both had about a rough month. But anyway, we go to the West, and the Dodgers have just been unbelievably crazy lately. It's like 76-33. That's 43 games above 500, way ahead of the Yankees for the next best record. Actually, Houston and the Yankees have the same record, and then the Mets a little bit better than Houston and the Mets too. But the Dodgers have just been crazy. It's like 9 in a row. The Padres now are 16 games back in second place. Still have a wild card shot. The Giants actually 6.5 back in the wild card thing. They're 2 games below 500 though, and 22.5 back of the Dodgers. So then Arizona and Colorado. So
18 of the 30 teams are still alive, is what you're saying. So.
I pretty much have. That was the other thing. We can talk about that next week. I'd say about 18 of them have still got a shot, and then I have a little info on their possible issue going into these last couple months that I can get into that next week. That and they all have one. They all have
I think that's the reason they wanted to bring so many teams in. I mean, if you look at back in the 80s and 70s, if you were 16 games behind the Dodgers right now, San Diego, their season would be over, and they're having a great season.
Well, they're 11 games above 500. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean that's decent.
But they would never be able to come up with 16.
Correct.
Games.
Yeah, I don't.
So the season would be over.
I don't mind the. Well, I don't think they needed to add another one. Now they've added 3 wild cards, in each league, and I'm not crazy about that, but.
I will say no team has ever been below 500 and made the playoffs. So there are a couple teams like the Giants. You're saying still alive, but. They got to really step it up. Yeah,
the only reason I included them is in at the bottom of those 18 is because I just excluded teams that were 10 or more back in the wild card, right? Which doesn't mean they're out of it. There's about 50 games to go, really, So, but that's how I cut off the list, and so that's what I ended up with.
Well, do you have any predictions for the upcoming games this week?
No, I'm gonna have to put them on the site again. Last week I was 5-4, so
you can't put every pick you like on the website.
I could have, actually, but I didn't. I actually
should have just picked the Dodgers.
Right,
every week.
and I usually stay away from my own team. There's just a thing, but I did have down here that I actually picked 16 different picks. 24. So I had 12 teams, 12 games, and the over/under. And the ones I decided to do, I was 5-4. The ones I didn't do, I would have ended up 15 out of 24. And I'm like, well, I picked the wrong ones, or I should have just picked them all, right? But
it's a lot of picks. Just go day by day and just put the picks on there and just put them all on there.
Right? Yeah, I know. Well, because I spend time going through most of the games and try to see what am I going to pick, and I ended up with those 9, and I went 5 and 4. So we'll put some on, and
yeah, maybe we'll also get into some horse racing in the future, and maybe I've noticed the Little League World Series has started, and maybe
which is awesome.
We could talk a little about
the Little League World Series is
week.
totally awesome. We're going to do that. That'll start Wednesday, August 17th to the 28th, of course, in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. What's cool about it is that they're going to have all the fans there. Last year, they didn't have fans because of COVID and didn't have anything but American teams, which, you want to have all the other, the countries in there, Japan and China, all of them, And so this year it will be, and of course, they didn't even do the World Series in 2020 because of COVID. And so this is the 75th one, and it's going to be, I follow it a lot, and we'll be talking about it as these next couple weeks go on. And
all right.
Also, a little bit about horse racing. I am going to do some things, probably October, November, some more Grade 1 races, and they're still getting the fall scheduled meeting together. And so I'm going to be doing some of that too.
All right. Finally, I guess we're going to talk a little about another sport. There was some professional basketball news last week. None of it was good, though. What's the story on WNBA star Brittany Griner?
Well, she's still locked up. She's still in the Russian jail and for 9 years.
Yeah.
It looks like until we can get her
They're
out.
trying to do a trade, which happens a lot with over the years in other countries where they're trying to get her and another guy back, and of course Russia's probably not going to go for that unless they get more than one guy back. And
they're getting a good one back, one of the arms trader and
exactly, but
federal penitentiary right now.
These things happen a lot, and you got to try to get your people back.
Well, we haven't actually talked about her on the show. She was arrested February 17th for smuggling vape cartridges of hashish oil into Russia. Yes, 9 years in a penal colony is what she got. The trade is arranged for Victor Boot. He's a convicted arms dealer and basically a murderer, known as the Merchant of Death. So that's why we're not jumping into getting this guy.
Yeah, either way, is it the right thing to do or not? Well, you want to get her back, but do you want to let a guy like that go? I mean,
and start killing Americans.
If we look in history, and we won't get into it, this has happened before, where the United States has traded somebody that wasn't a good guy, but. We'll see.
What's extremely ironic, in 2020, she protested the Star Spangled Banner for the entire season. She'd walk off the court before the national anthem and didn't want the anthem played at all in any of the arenas. And now she wants the U.S. to come get her.
Yeah. So, kind of
if she was
there?
If she was Russian, I think they would have just left her there, and just said, the heck with you. But,
it's a tough. What would she play for? Phoenix?
Yeah.
In WNBA? Yeah.
So quickly, what's the story on the NBA's Kevin Durant? Well, basically, he demands a trade. Then he doesn't get that. He demands head coach Steve Nash and general manager Sean Marks be fired. The answer was no. Now he wants a trade again.
Right. So Durant, arguably one of the best big shooters and better players that we're going to see in our lifetime. He wants to trade to Boston or Miami. It's two of his suitors he's looking for. I think maybe the Celtics might be in play.
They have some things to trade.
They have some players to trade, and I don't know. I think the Celtics looked great last year. I wouldn't mess the chemistry up at all.
I wouldn't get him on my team for anything. It's
well, if you're the Kings, I mean, I'd put him on my team. I mean, you can do nothing but get better. But I'm just saying that.
He'll refuse to go to Sacramento. That'll not happen.
Yeah, you're right though. The Celtics came real close, and Golden State beat them, and they're going to be back again though, Boston, and we'll
You're a Boston fan.
I'm a huge.
They're talking about Jaylen Brown. I would not trade Jaylen Brown for.
What's that?
You don't want him on your team now.
No, I've been a Celtic fan since I was a kid growing up in LA. I think I mentioned that before. So, but and I was going to say something earlier too about football when you were talking about the Dolphins. Because they should still be good and have a good year, right? Rich, we might not win that bet we made, but if we do, then we had some great odds doing that. And I still have this. I was from my last wife, a gold dolphin, because I was a huge Miami Dolphin fan back from Marino and
things are looking up in Miami.
I think so. They are. Yeah, they are looking up.
We'll make some predictions on how they're going to do in the coming weeks. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time for the moments we've all been waiting for. The stories that make us furious about bets that appeared surely to be winners, but in the end something went horribly wrong, and they ended up being losers. It's a segment we affectionately call You Got Hosed.
You got hosed.
So do you guys have a You Got Hosed story this week?
I think I'll come up with a You Got Hosed for all of us here covering the field, not having Gator Gates with us with his predictions and his insight. We miss you, Gator, and we got hosed.
Totally, yeah. He does so much with the NHL and racing and NASCAR and all that stuff, and yeah.
Well, Joe, you got host section.
Well, yeah. Last Thursday, the Los Angeles Angels hit 7 home runs against the Oakland A's. Only 6 teams have ever hit 7 home runs in any game. In fact, the Angels tied the 2016 White Sox for a Major League Baseball record. The problem is, the record was for most solo home runs in a game in a losing cause. That's right, the Angels lost 8-7.
Yep.
So if you bet on the Angels last Thursday, you got hosed.
So yeah, that's unusual. 7 and all being solo with nobody on base. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You got hosed.
So that will about do it. We want to remind you that next week we'll be broadcasting live Friday, August 19th at 3:30 from the Capitol Barbershop, which is located at 256 West Winnie Lane in Carson City. Get a haircut, do some barbecue or an adult beverage. We look forward to seeing you there. But for now, I'd like to thank my guests, Big Richard Martin and Rockin' Ronnie McKinnon, and especially you listeners for tuning into the show. And we look forward to bringing you another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to a Covering the Field sports show. Visit us at coveringthefield.com. Email us your comments, questions, and You Got Host stories at coveringthefield@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at coveringfield. Thank you to our junior IT, Caden Martin. Thanks to our assistant to the editorial staff, Boots McCage. We will see you all next time for another episode of Covering the Field.